I'd like to apologize to every single woman I've ever had a crush on. I remember a few years ago I stumbled upon the Instagram videos of Curry Barker and his sketch comedy troupe That's a Bad Idea. I remember enjoying the high production value and the mix of humor and discomfort. Barker released his first feature on YouTube back in 2024, Milk and Cereal, so it's come as no surprise that now he has his first theatrically released horror film, Obsession. And much like his sketch comedy, this is a potent mix of humor and discomfort, and more discomfort, and a sprinkle of a little more discomfort on top. So is Curry Barker the next big thing? Or is there someone else who might just take that mantle? The film follows the hopelessly lovesick Bear. He's been pining after his work colleague and friend, Nikki, and is aching to find the right time to tell her how he feels. One night out gift shopping, he purchases the novelty item, the One Wish Willow. On a whim, he uses it on Nikki and asks for her to love him more than anyone else in the world. Suddenly, Nikki's whole behavior changes around him. She starts confiding in him more, yearning for him, and eventually confesses her feelings for him. It seems that the magic has worked, and soon Bear and Nikki are a couple. But Nikki's odd behavior gets worse and worse, as she seems to be able to not live without him, and exhibit more and more obsessive behavior, to more and more terrifying and ultimately violent results. What makes this an exciting horror debut is Barker takes a typical monkey's paw scenario, a relatable one at that. Who among us hasn't pined for someone who's unattainable, has been unable to express their deep feelings for someone, and who has feared deep rejection for being vulnerable? But whereas most stories would make it the Nikki character just the prize to attain, here, she's actually the victim. Because this not only works as a careful what you wish for movie, it also doubles as kind of a possession film. Nikki becomes possessed by feelings she doesn't have, put upon her by a person who basically violates her with his wish. We've had decades and decades of not just horror male protagonists, but male protagonists in any genre who have pined for the girl, and whose own sense of entitlement engineers a movie where everything works out in the end, ultimately through some gesture or nice words or the machinations of the plot, gets the girl at the end. And let's be even more honest. This trope has diluted millions and millions of men across the world that if they just yearn for someone hard enough, if they just desire someone long enough, if they just express their deep innermost feelings, that sense of entitlement can be rewarded. It's a thorny foundation to build a horror film around, and Barker is mostly up to task. But his film would be nowhere without the discovery and performance of Indy Navarrete as Nikki. She starts the movie as kind of your prototypical guy's girl. She loves going to trivia night with the boys. She can throw back tequila shots. And she's a delightful hang. The whole movie hinges on Navarrete's performance, especially in the scene where Bear makes his wish. And a simple car ride dropping her off at her house turns into a prolonged exercise in increasing discomfort, where Navarrete shows off her facility as a physical performer, because she's not just playing the Nikki we thought we knew, she's playing the Nikki now trapped inside the physical body of a Nikki that Bear now possesses. Through physical gesture and vocal tics and subtle nuances, Navarrete communicates the increasingly unhinged behavior of this person under a spell with the vacant, kill-me-now energy of someone trapped inside a body. It's this layer on the premise and Navarrete's incredibly unhinged performance that elevates, hey, elevate horror, where other horror films will just settle. It's almost like every scene going forward is a showcase for Navarrete's talents, whether she turns into like a child being so needy for this guy and she has no idea why, or she becomes an absolute nightmare in human form when she does creepy shit like watch him sleep. And speaking of sleep, you probably won't sleep for quite a while after watching this. Because if you have basic fears of someone standing in the dark corner while you're in bed, or getting up and moving manically around the house in the dark, or even just raising their voice and piercing your ears at an unexpected moment, then this movie is going to trigger the shit out of you. The best horror parts of this are simply Barker with his cinematographer and sound designer, playing with light and shadow and sound, to turn this dream girl into the most sinister figure you've ever seen at night. And it all comes back to Navarrete's performance, because anytime we see her shrouded in shadow, or anytime Bear is in the frame and there's negative space, or anytime Bear is talking to another character without her, we are just waiting for the worst to happen. And Barker, as writer and director, escalates and escalates the tension where things get crazier and gnarlier until the sweet release of the end credits. It's quite the feat for a first-time director who's playing with tone and space. And he's also playing with a combo of humor and horror. This isn't a full-blown comedy, but you could almost laugh at any scene, because even if something isn't directly funny, it usually invites nervous laughter, which, barring full-on screaming for a horror movie, is a damn good sign of a filmmaker who can push buttons. Now, there are a few hiccups in the ending, a few things aren't quite as visually explained as they should be, and even though it has shocking moments of violence, they're not that surprising. Maybe the most surprising thing about this is how damn mean-spirited it gets. Because through all the scares and the discomfort and the cringe and the comedy, this is a pretty feel-bad film. So I guess mission accomplished for Barker, but also mission accomplished for Indy Navarrete, who here I think actually upstages Barker. Because she walks a fine line between the girl you want to fall in love with and the one you want to get thousands of miles away from fast. For men, obsession will be an absolutely traumatizing experience. But for women, it will be just as harrowing for those who've ever been an object of affection. Because first-time director and YouTuber Curry Barker excels not just at the scares, but at the social commentary, and creates a horror film that might just make him the next big thing. After Indy Navarrete, I give Obsession an exceptional 4 out of 5 stars. If you like this review, please like and subscribe or follow me on Letterboxd at RamirezS316. Men, I'm talking to you right now. That girl you're pining for? Let it go. If she put you in the friend zone, if she doesn't want anything to do with you, if she doesn't feel the same way about you that you do her, just let it go. And ladies, now I'm talking to you. If there's a nice guy who has a crush on you and he won't leave you alone, maybe take a few cues from this movie and make his life a living nightmare.